Your narcissistic siblings actually hate you. They don't like you. And whose fault is that? It's the fault of your narcissistic parents. Let's talk about it. One thing I've always learned about, my siblings and just my family, as someone who's the youngest, like I'm literally the youngest of, five, and I came late. Like 12 years after the sibling before me. Is that your narcissistic siblings hate you because you're the one who's actually speaking the facts about the abuse in the family. If you're someone who is very vocal about, the abuse and the trauma that y'all have been through due to your psychopathic or narcissistic parents, they often resent you for the reason that you're doing something that they lack the courage to do themselves. And they complied in silence with either your narcissistic father, who's the ringleader, or your narcissistic mother, who's the enabler of the abuse caused by him. They're going to tell you in your face, oh, well, we're very proud that you're, speaking about, the abuse and all that kind of stuff. Until the narcissistic parent steps in and they switch roles and they suddenly side, next to your narcissistic mother who has tried to financially destroy your life, or your narcissistic father who has, made multiple attempts to unalive you. They're going to pick their sides to, their narcissistic ringleader because they actually try to seek, father's validation, mother's love, all that kind of stuff. And they don't want to admit to the fact that they have been deeply hurt and traumatized due to narcissistic abuse. And because they have neglected themselves and neglected actual help, they have become sociopaths. Psychopaths are born, sociopaths are made due to the environment. So now your siblings are sociopaths and they're out here doing shit on impulse, being under the influence of drugs, alcoholism, all types of, abuse and all that kind of stuff, because they can't deal with the fact that they have been, abused when they were children by your narcissistic psychopathic parent. And if you're someone who stands for the truth and actually dares to do anything differently, you don't get into toxic relationships. You try to spend your money in a wise way. You eat right. You are healthy. You go to the gym. You look good. You take care of yourself. You went to a psychologist. You went to therapy. You went to EMDR therapy. You went to trauma therapy to deal with, the stuff that they've put you through. If you're the only one who has actually done that, then they're going to look at you with pure resentment. And if you're also, the only sibling that is out here, getting businesses and, being successful, getting your money straight, getting your finances in order, being successful, all that kind of stuff, that they, resent you even harder because you were supposed to be the scapegoat. You were supposed to be the crazy sibling that everyone was like, okay, well, this person, he's always talking some shit, she's always talking some shit. You were supposed to be the clown, you were supposed to be the scapegoat, and now you're out here being successful and exposing the truth. And they're mad and jealous because they actually can't do that because they still feel some sort of loyalty to the narcissistic abuser. So there you are. You're being hated by all of your siblings, and your siblings start to, repeat and reenact the same roles like your narcissistic parents did, and it's like they just take over, wherever your parents have left, in that particular sense, and they feel no shame about it. They're like, well, we're going to do what we want to do, and we're going to, talk shit about you, hate you, try to destroy your business, attack you, do whatever, because deep down inside they're secretly envious and jealous of the fact that you have the strength to not kiss your father's ass, to not, kiss your mother's ass, that kind of stuff, and be like, oh, well, you've abused me in the past, but I just let it go, and I now let you, abuse my grandchildren, your grandchildren like my children, that kind of stuff. If you're someone who has boundaries, if you're someone who said, fuck this shit, I'm not going to deal with the toxic family patterns, if you're someone who said, I'm going to, step out, expose, the pedos in the family, the abuses in the family, all that stuff, yeah, your siblings are the first one to actually try to destroy you. So don't expect your siblings to promote your business, to promote you at work, to give you a shout out or anything like that when you're doing well, or expect them to congratulate you on, making your first sales or businesses or success whatsoever. They're actually the first ones who are, stalking you on social media, trying to figure out your next move so they can plan something that might have, your opportunity, whatnot. Your siblings are your biggest hater because they have been manipulated and brainwashed by your narcissistic father and mother. And that psychological situation is called triangulation. Your narcissistic parents have put you and your siblings against each other. So your narcissistic parents are going to, tell lies about you and gossip about you to sibling one, and saying that you, said some shit about sibling one, and now sibling one is mad at you because sibling one has heard lies. Now they're going to sibling two and do the same thing, and to 3 and 4 and whatnot, because you're the only one actually not giving into, silencing to compliance, tolerating abuse, enabling abuse, and staying in the toxic family cycle. You're there at Christmas dinner, everyone is being a fake ass bitch and trying to be like, well, my husband. Meanwhile, you damn sure know that husband is molesting the children and whatnot. They hate the fact that you see through all of that and don't play along and be like, hold up, wait a minute, something seriously fucked up is going on here. So your narcissistic parents have triangulated you and your siblings against each other, and they think that you are the problem of the family because you refuse to actually play into, defending the abuser and all that kind of stuff. So cut off your narcissistic siblings, because they have been brainwashed by your narcissistic parents to always see you as a competition, because you refuse to actually participate in any sorts of fuckery and toxicity. You're out here doing good, skin is glowing, eating healthy, getting your business in order, living your dream life, and they're out here in fucked up marriages with fucked up children, and they're just repeating the same fucked up shit that your parents did when they were younger and whatnot, repeating the same cycle. So if you want to move forward in life and you're thinking about cutting people off, the first people you need to cut off, well, actually the second one after your narcissistic parents, are your narcissistic siblings, because they're going to fuck you up.